understanding might be wrong is they have to come in and ask for that, or changing it to,
No. This, we could do it as a township decision, and then anybody has a right to appeal. There's one more public hearing, and that's when somebody can come and object to it, and if they acquiesce to that, then we can change it again or change it back. But until we propose something, they don't know what to come to. That's why there's nobody here, because, you know, maybe he'd be here if he knew we were gonna,
So before we even do that, we need to redo this. Like, are we expanding the SD and South Point and then turning this to some version of industrial, which I don't agree with, or turning this back wherever it is to
see, that's
industrial?
what we're here for today.
I know, but I'm trying to understand, because we're like going along, but I don't know if we're actually
We need to come up with if it's either this map or any changes, and that's what we present to the public, so this is our final.
But right now, I don't even know that we've agreed to anything, so
Right.
to present to the public. That's what I'm
If the
saying.
board members want to think about it now, go talk to people, and then, you know, we have to have another work session. We have to come up with the final map that we present at a final hearing
Right.
for adoption.
Right.
So,
So
I mean,
I'm just trying for note-taking purposes to see if there's any sort of agreement right now that we can mark down and have Jack change the map to
So
map.
you can poll us for individual changes. like this,
So
or work
going
sessions.
back quickly to this, adding SD to South Point, is anybody in favor of or opposed to? Eric?
I would be opposed. I would yield to using the map that the comprehensive plan spent months on putting together. If someone wants to contest that, let them come before the board. There was a reason for that mixed use, and it was to allow them to have the flexibility of putting in a duplex or a restaurant or a townhome. And that's why that was used.
Tom?
I think we should change it to SD.
you gotta do that.
Frank, any opinion?
I sort of agree with Eric. You know, we paid the guy $60,000, $70,000 to come in and set this program up. I thought we had highly educated, lifelong residents on this committee. They made their bed. This is the changes they want. That's what they got to deal with, and that's what I leave it as.
I think it needs to change. I think that we need to change, expand the SD to South Point.
I mean, South Point's looking to increase,
And
right?
it adds to our tax base, yeah, they are, and it adds to our tax base. So like leaving this residential doesn't really help us much.
Or the other one, one suggestion, it's some industrial along by the new turnpike.
Eric, same answer.
I'd yield to the comprehensive plan and let them come before and say, I want to put up an industrial factory or a metal building and look at it individually.
But you
These are
can't-
suggestions.
you have to be careful about that because then you could get into spot zoning. Tom?
I think it should be industrial area.
Ron?
I do too.
Frank?
I say leave the map as it is. That's my comment.
I don't want to change that. either.
That's my opinion. They spent a lot of time on this, you know, like Eric said. A lot of planning,
What
and
about-
thought.
There were decisions, there were.
Several meetings they had. I attended some of them, I believe, sat in the audience.
But there were also decisions made that they didn't want industrial track, so they could stop drilling. Let's get that on table.
I don't know if that's true.
That's true.
What about the mixed use off of?
Well, let's finish the small parcel that on 980 going towards Timber They're proposing to change that industrial back to
Residential.
mixed, residential. They're showing that goes back to residential.
And that's what I said, it should still be
Oh, no, she
industrial.
has the point, I mean, that's what we're trying
Eric,
to do.
same answer.
Where you at, Tom?
That industrial property that's industrial right now, where Mark West Liberty and Jack Clear, this piece here,
The comprehensive plan said to leave it as medium density residential.
not leaving, it's already industrial, they're proposing changing it to residential from industrial. It's industrial right now.
I would yield to that map. They go together.
I think it should remain industrial as it is.
So, John, how can you drop it from industrial all the way down to residential. That's ridiculous.
There were,
And he was there before there was zoning even in Cecil.
15, 18 people from various industries that came up with that map.
Who? Who's from all these industries?
Everyone that was on the board, you have a,
What
you have a
industry?
list of all the
Yeah,
members?
it's right here. That's right here, Eric, it's on that first page here.
Andy Schrader, Barb Hamilton, Charlie Barney, Elizabeth.
Wait, back up. Barb Hamilton was told not to be on there. Go ahead.
She wasn't told.
Yes, she was.
The
You were
gentleman,
told not to be on
gentleman
there.
that did the, pulled everything together that we gave the, what, 53,000 to? He asked that there be all the boards represented.
No, he
No,
didn't.
that's not true.
He told us
He did.
not to be on it.
Yeah, he told us not to.
Could you
on
be
it
approving your own work?
because- Yeah, because planning commission.
He absolutely said that.
I didn't get him to write it down, but he clearly said that it's good to be representative by all of the boards, and then you have various members from the industry, and then various residents.
But still relevant now, we're here.
Right.
It's too late now.
No, they was told, but they kept coming.
I was on that committee, and I wasn't told not to come.
Yes, you were.
I was not.
Gretchen said she absolutely told you.
Well, then I'll have to have a conversation with Gretchen,
Good, I want to be there again.
please.
And it doesn't really matter now, but so here's what I think we need to do. Compile a list of changes that we want changed to Dawn. Jack and Dawn can come up with a new map like this with the changes that a majority of the board are in agreement on. I'll let you guys talk. And then we can have another work session to kind of talk through, if we feel necessary. I mean, if we don't think it's necessary, that can be the final map that's
You're right.
presented. Well, we'll see,
It
we'll
might
see
not
what
be
happens,
necessary.
yeah.
As
Can
long
we
as we all
talk, can
participate.
we talk about some of this stuff too, like we think while we're,
I thought we finished that, but we were in agreement to keep that text. This is the only part that was open.
I don't think so.
They were, we had a meeting when the gentleman was here,
I
and there were certain things that we wanted to take out, like buying fire trucks and,
We're right, well, something that was done.
but we never heard back from him. They were supposed to have another meeting, and we never heard back
You
from
know, you
him.
guys take it out.
No.
Oh, then she, okay, I'm sorry, I thought, based on that last year we had, that we agreed to whatever we agreed to on that text.
I mean, there's a bunch of grammatical errors that need to be corrected, but there's also, like some things in there, like there was a, let me see if I can find it, I had
What
it,
the fire trucks?
and I pulled it out. What, I'm sorry?
Wrong, said there was something that described about fire trucks.
Yeah, that needs to come out, that was based on that study.
You asked for fire departments not to be consolidated or not to have paid firemen. You wanted that taken out?
No, that's not.
At that point, that was one of the issues that you addressed. And
That's not what I'm saying right now.
I think if we listen back at it, that was addressed. And there again, I would say let that stand as it comes from the
Eric,
comprehensive
I
plan.
wasn't even gonna talk about the fire department, so Ron's the one that said something about a fire truck. If you want to talk and tell me what I think, go ahead, and then I'll tell you what I was actually going to say. Ron had asked about the fire trucks right now to Tom.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, go ahead, Ron, and then I'll say what I was going to say.
I just thought that we had explained to that guy that we wanted that taken out, that we're not buying fire trucks, that we're not in the fire business.
I think we all agree with that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised we weren't taking it out. I
It
thought-
needs to come out.
Yeah, I
That
thought
part
it
needs
was,
to come
right.
out. Can you find, There's also a section here where it talks about the hierarchy of the administration here, where it says board supervisors, township manager, and then it lists finance director, community development director, code enforcement, public works, recreation manager, assistant manager. Some of these are already backwards and wrong, like it says fire official way underneath code enforcement. I think we already know that that's not going to be the case. So I would just ask that we take a quick look as a board at this and fix it based on the current structure, so that we're not setting ourselves up for a problem because we're already
I agree
basically
with that.
going against our comprehensive plan. That's what I was going to say. And you will take out the
find it, I think that you had in there. I have notes, I'll have to put it out, but, I don't know, does this make sense to you, some of the?
That was another thing there, Jeff. All right, after that, I mean, we've already done that. If it recommends
It's
hiring
not like you were looking to.
an assistant manager,
Guarantee to replace it.
I mean, that whole section.
Yeah,
could
that
be-
was
My word, if someone else
Pretty
has
much
that,
take it out.
I can't read it.
Yeah.
You
No,
agree,
that's
Cindy?
okay. I'm sorry?
This whole section can be taken out.
We basically already did that.
Or,
Yeah, there's a bunch of
or
things in
leave
this
it,
section.
or leave it as is and consider it checked off.
But it's wrong, like if you look at this, so like this is not the way it's on page 44, Board of Supervisors, Township Manager. Like honestly, this kind of feels like it was just pulled from somewhere and plopped in here without taking like a real look at the way things actually work.
Yeah, the way they are, it should be reflected. in-
Yeah.
You also agreed to remove the director of recreation.
Oh, right, so we as a board had already agreed to remove the, well, give me that other thing you showed me. Maybe I can return it already. Remove this Director of Recreation page, or job title, and then there was a section, strategy 3K, it says establish a 6-year capital plan to ensure we wanted to change it to say, to ensure the viability of the fire departments and or work on
Yeah, I know there was some.
I'm not sure, I have it at home, but in any case, we crossed out the part where it says, establish a 6-year capital plan to replace one apparatus, e.g. fire trucks and rescue trucks every 2 years. By the end of that cycle, the last apparatus replaced will be 25 years old. We changed that to basically, not to take it out, but to say that, hey, look, we can't be stuck to a replacement plan, we have to do what's best for the fire departments at the time it's needed, not just, hey, we're gonna replace the fire truck a year, because that may not be what we actually need. Does that make sense? So maybe break that down.
And also, we were supposed to put the township assistant manager under the manager, right?
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying, like, the assistant manager goes underneath the township manager, the fire official would go either parallel to the manager or next to the manager, or parallel to or right underneath the township manager. That's what I'm saying, like, this doesn't accurately reflect what we actually
Yeah,
do.
don't, just do that, reflect what we have here,
It's
Well-
page
and
4.
then give it to us.
In the meeting, I do recall Parks Director or maybe even being added because of the questionnaires that went out that said that we should put energy into that. So some of those titles may have been created or put in there based on that questionnaire that got returned and said we should look into putting that type of person in place.
That's part of Jack's job to be the
Well, I would-
liaison.
I would
Right,
yield,
Jack?
I would yield to, once again, what the comprehensive plan put together, because they were answering or addressing those questions that came back in.
But to your point, we did address that in hiring Jack. So we hired Jack to be the assistant manager and parks liaison, so why do we need a separate person to handle that role when Jack's doing it successfully?
Put the way it is. I mean, we have the structure set up.
Yeah.
That should reflect what we have, not,
Right.
So I recall John Trent even stating, well, we can check that one off. So this is a suggestion for future development, and we just accomplished it. So it doesn't hurt that it would be remaining in there.
it's wrong with it.
Yeah, it's wrong.
It's outdated already.
Yeah, I mean, what's the point in passing a comprehensive plan that's outdated when we can update it to reflect what actually is happening or has happened appropriately? I mean, we have a assistant manager who does a great job at park liaison, so why mess with it? Alright, sorry, that
I
was my.
think what Tom's